Windows. Basically, excuse me, any opening. Um, Sometimes it actually isn't the window or the door. It has nothing to do with the festration. It's the installation or um, the lack of detailing in that opening. On occasion, it is actually, the window or door itself, um, whether it's age or occasionally it is a window that's not rated for our climate. There was a period of time where a big box store was selling windows and doors, and they were intended to be used for garages and sheds, but they ended up in homes. And that's some of the worst stuff that you're going to see. Something that's not meant to be part of a house installed on a house, it never performs well. And people are typically uncomfortable in that room, and often it leads to other health issues in that room as well. Um, but yeah, windows.
Well, and I like how you talk about windows in that manner because, windows are a great part of comfort because, again, they give us the connection to the outside. And so we sometimes have too much glazing in our homes. And so people want like these ocean views or views of the mountains. And so they get too much glazing. And so the balance of the glazing to make sure we're comfortable does matter as well. And so we look at comfort, how it ties into all aspects of the five Pascal's principles, really makes sense. But again, in most buildings that we're dealing with that are existing, that window portion of the wall is the leakiest part of the assembly and provides a lot of discomfort. Mark, what are your thoughts?
So this always brings me back to childhood, and Aron brings home the windows. So for me, I remember when we got storm windows. So we had the double hung weighted windows, and it was a chore every fall to go around, take the screens off, put the screens in order in the garage, and because our screens were our air conditioner, right? And the storms were that protection during the winter, and they worked incredibly. It had such a difference because they were all wood windows with the nice weight pockets, but I'll tell you, those storm windows were that protection that made all the difference. And when I think of comfort beyond that window formation, I'm telling you, in our house, it was where you put the furniture. We carefully arranged the furniture away from those walls because we had radiators, right? And you had this nice key to bleed them out, but you put your furniture in that spot. And so our commonplace today, yeah, is the electrification and the heat pumps and these wonderful things, but a lot of us come from the time where we adapted or we wore sweaters, right? And that was it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
like
the that has
bringing that
shifted
part
quite a
about
bit. That has shifted quite a bit. People are less tolerant to change themselves, and they want the environment to do the changing. I want to be able to put my furniture anywhere, so make the room comfortable no matter what. We're not gonna. I want to push it all the way against the wall. I want it sitting all the way on the floor. I can't allow for airflow to work around it. I can't set it aside so that the radiator is unobstructed so it can throw its 212-degree steam heat across the room. Like, no, I want to put the couch here. I want to do this there. Yeah, the more freedom you want to have inside your house, the more you're relying on the building enclosure and the mechanical systems to provide that even comfort, regardless of how you want to set up the interior of the space. So it's now possible. Back in the day, it wasn't. You had to kind of bend yourself around the environment, and now people have the option to bending the environment or to what they want it to be, and it keeps us all in business.
Yeah.
I tell people there's two ways I can build a building that's going to last 2, 3, 400 years. One's comfortable, one's not. They both will last a very long time. Which one do you want?
Yeah, one might work with humans, one might not. So which one do you want, folks? Because that building will last. It's the humans we got to factor for. Well, and it's funny how we start talking about, the energy of performance, and you're looking at the cost and things where, we're a big proponent of like, hey, we could sell high performance based on energy efficiency and the value of that. But I know now in commercial buildings, we could sell it for the fact of usable square footage. And I like how you talk about furniture, because in buildings, so many times you'd have office spaces that are away from the windows because people that are working there 9 to 5 don't want to be beside a window that's not providing the right amount of comfort, or it's got too much sun coming in, and so there's too much sun on the computer screens and just uncomfortable spaces, and so you have like this perimeter that people walk around in the office and talking about, did they get the right memos? Well, the memo should be is build a high performance enclosure, be able to use that space right to the window element, and so you can work better. But also, Joe, as you said too, is I was in some older homes recently, and the furniture, you're right, was like 3 feet off the wall sitting in, and it had like this weird majestic royal type look where you all kind of sat in the middle space, but you just had all this wasted space because no one wanted to be near the block walls because they were too cold. So again, as we dove into this high performance world and understanding just these like little fine points, it really matters to what we talk about for comfort, and all the points were brought up today. I think again, most people would really start to understand about like, oh, I feel that way. Now I get why I feel that way, because the building envelope is not performing the way that it should be.
Yeah, it's been a challenge, or it's actually kind of neat to see the evolution of homes. Think about old here's one of the buildings that last forever, castles, right? Castles have been around for a long time, and likely still will be. But now they're not terribly comfortable. They're bare to heat. They eat up a whole lot of wood in their wood burning fireplaces. And if you look how they set up the furniture, everybody's like huddled around the fireplace to get the radiant heat off the bloody thing. It'd be like us snuggling around a heat register in a house. Let's all snuggle around the heat register by our windows. That's not the case. We used to huddle around radios. Now our media follows us around, right?
Yeah.
We used to huddle around the comfort. Now the comfort kind of is evenly dispersed around the house, right? So yeah, we do want to make the buildings durable. But man, if they're not comfortable, then nobody's gonna be happy there, Yeah. And it's silly to not have that an explicit goal, when building a new house. To say among every other beneficial aspect, we need to have, make sure that we're designing in such a way that we're gonna have even comfort without muss or fuss.
Yeah, and coming back to Windows, just to kind of wrap things up, is just I just really recently just was playing around with a tilt and turn window, and I just realized that windows, for the most part, are also been our fresh air mechanism. They're our fresh air machine, and now that we've turned into ERVs and HRVs to provide that fresh air, those windows can be closed because we have this other device that's filtered and giving us the fresh air, where we don't need to have our windows in tilt mode or opening. And be able to ensure like that interior comfort level is being taken care of by a fresh air machine, not by the windows, and not by leaky windows. So when you got high performance windows, they're taking care of the daylighting, and so we're still getting that great connection to the outdoors, but we don't have to have that issue of losing the thermal envelope because losing the heating because of poor windows.
That's an interesting thought, because if you had 6 windows in a master suite, right, not unheard of, right? Do all 6 of those need to be operable? I mean, if I've got a fresh air delivery mechanism, if they're closed as often as open because of just comfort or exterior air quality, right? When the fires come through, you're closing all your windows anyway. Maybe I only need 1 or 2 operable windows out of those 6. And we know that a fixed frame window seals a hell of a lot better than an operable window. So now it's cheaper, so we have less expense, less maintenance to deal with, less leakage. We still have our daylighting. We still have a couple operable sashes that we might want. The rest of the time, you got mechanical ventilation to provide your fresh air.
Yeah, that design intention, I'm totally with you, Joe. I love the fixed windows, like when we're talking about the main suite of the house. I love the transom, right, to bring the light in. If you're a morning person, if you're an evening person, right, direct the layout of the room according to the behavior. And right, in the world of air movement, let's decide which ones we're going to open, because the window is the outside air, right, connection, but it's not filtered. So filtered air and outside air, really different discussion. But
Dehumidified.
you know, some clients like that sunlight and some don't.
Also, you have to factor in, and we've already touched on this, windows are great for helping you balance your heating and cooling. But what if you need dehumidification? What if you spend 3 weeks where the relative humidity outdoors is above 70%? You got to be able to close things up and balance that out. And if your building is airtight, it's just, and your mechanicals are well done,
Yeah.
it's going to be easier to do. You got to have both.
Gotta have all 5 things. You can't just take one. It's all got to be the same
It's a
system.
system. It's a system. You leave one out, the rest of it falls.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Offsite Dirt High Performance Build, where we dove into comfort. Comfort really matters. And on your calendar, I hope you've got pinned for August 26th, International Flashing Awareness Day with Aron Jones and the crew. Going to talk a lot about flashing details. And so when you see the Flash Me t-shirts, hashtag Flash Me, realize that, again, water's got to go down and out, and a good flashing detail will take care of your buildings for today. And as Aron said, for maybe 200 to 300 years, get the details sorted out. Take care, everyone. We'll see you soon on Offsite Dirt High Performance Build.